The Le Mans Cup, the foot of the ladder that heads up to 24 hours of Le Mans, started in Barcelona, and we are here for round 2, the road to Le Mans. Martin Haven and Graham Goodwin back in the chair, ready to cover the action for the first of 2 races from the road to Le Mans. Graham Goodwin, what an opportunity these road to Le Mans races provide for drivers in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, an opportunity to race not once, but twice on the 24-hour circuit. There is no other championship in the world almost that will give you that opportunity. And it's a standard part of the championship. It's not a gift that you have to win. It's part of what the whole championship is about.
Well, it's a very golden rung on the ladder, isn't it? It's part of the ladder series that the ACO have developed. This LMP3. See the cars there effectively in their dummy grid formed up on the, it looks like the karting circuit there. It is the karting circuit.
One of a number of karting circuits there, yeah.
It is, it's been remarkably popular. Mixed grid of LMP3 and GT3 cars. And you'll see the full season grid from the Michelin Le Mans Cup with a number of guest entries joining in here. And it has always provided a fabulous spectacle. It's done other things as well, the Road to Le Mans. It's launched teams and drivers further up the order into the European Le Mans Series, into the FI World Endurance Championship, onto the grid for the Le Mans 24 Hours itself. It's done exactly what it was designed to do, to give those teams and drivers a flavour of this experience. And these drivers and these teams are getting the opportunity to do that at this huge race meeting. It is blisteringly warm here, Martin. You can see in the background there, the new South Gate at the Circuit de la Sarthe. 350,000 people here this weekend for the centenary edition of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and a goodly proportion of them will be coming trackside for this first race of 2 for the Road to Le Mans. Both of them points scoring races for the Michelin Le Mans Cup of 2023. Because of the emergency, the flooding emergency we had in Italy, it does mean that we've only had 1 of the races so far this year rather than 2, so they come here relatively green. This is the famous Circuit de la Sarthe, 13.626 kilometres, fabulous 3-sector circuit that will be so well known to so many people around the world listening and watching in to this.
And for some of our 116 drivers, it will be the very first time here. We've got 58 cars in 2 classes, LMP3 prototypes that look like Le Mans racers, and the GT3 cars that also look like Le Mans racers, that look like the Le Mans GT cars. So we've got 58 cars, 2 drivers in each. It's a 2-driver race, mandatory pit stop in the middle of the race. 13 laps is the race distance, which will take them about 50 minutes. And they are moving their equipment into the garages. Just saw the 777D station car from the Le Mans 24-hour race being pushed up. That's coming back from scrutineering to go back to the team before the too many tyre trolleys get in the doorway.
It'll be 13 laps maximum, 50 minutes will be the length. So if it gets down to that stage, if there's any dramas, you will see that change. 31 degrees in the air, 42 degrees on track.
Can we all say anemometer? That
say.
may be the very first time in 40 years at Le Mans I've needed to say anemometer.
Excellent. I know you said it twice.
That's an anemometer.
Anemometer 3 times now, and I still can't say it. But it is going to be 58 cars to take this start, by the way, and there are some names around here, including one absolute massive international, global motorsport superstar. We'll come to that.
Wayne Boyd.
Here is the grid.
Here is the grid. Martin Rich will start on pole for Team Virage in one of their yellow, black and orange cars, ahead of Wayne Boyd, Daniel Kielwitz and John Melsom, who's a newer name in the field, Daniel Schneider and Louis San Juan, who's got at least 1 series of Le Mans Cup under his belt. Then on row 4, Matthias Leuten and Alexander Buksanov. Then is the Ligier of Audun Gudmundsson, Team Thor, the Icelandic crew, ahead of Team Virage's second car, Julian Gerby. Then CD Sport, they've got good history in this race as well. They start a little further back in 11th, ahead of the Fricadelli Racing team of Klaus Abelen. And you can see, again, a number of teams coming in here from outside of the Le Mans family, and Fricadelli would be a classic example of that. So Klaus Abelin starting just ahead of Gerald Kraut and Terence Woodward and Chris Short. Then Hugo Delacourt and Torsten Kratz. Again, a WTM car, usually very quick. Tony Wells has won this race on a couple of occasions. Adrian Keeler for Cool Racing has always gone well here. Got Miguel Cristavao for M Racing, Ivan Muller's team, and AS Motorsport alongside them on row 11 of the grid. On row 12, DKR with their number 5 car ahead of the second Graf, and the third Graf car is 25th, with Team Virage's third car in 26th place. It's a long grid. Racing Spirit of Le Mans, who had 2 wins here last year, ahead of MV2S, into Europol's number 13 car. Again, they've been long-time supporters of this series, and 360 from Silverstone. Into Europol's second car, the second of the CD Sport cars. Then 24/7 Motorsport, Andrew Ferguson with Patrice Lafargue alongside him. Then Murphy Prototypes returning to racing once more, and we're getting into our GT field, with Team WRT the fastest 2 cars. That Valentino Rossi fellow, I think, has got quite a future ahead of him. Obviously, the 7-time MotoGP World Champion is going to be one of the big star names in the BMW. And again, although almost every car in the LMP3 field is a Ligier, there are 2 or 3 Duqueine chassis. We have got BMWs and Ferraris and Audis and Lamborghinis and Porsches and Hondas and more Ferraris and more Lamborghinis and Ligier as well, providing road-going supercars in this field as well. So it is a very mixed bag in GT3, and gives us a little bit of a taste of what we are going to see in the World Endurance Championship next year, as GT3 becomes the predominant GT category.
We'll also, by the way, give the first opportunity at Le Mans to see the face of Ferrari's GT future in the World Endurance Championship, and in the Road to Le Mans, with the first appearance here of the new 296 GT3 Ferrari, and there were several of those in the field, as well as a couple of the older 488s and Aston Martins, as you say, Lamborghinis, the new 992 based Porsches also featuring here. Right at the back of the grid for this first race, Jim Maguire in the number 21 United Autosports car, and the 76 IMSA LS Group Performance car. Marcus Seefried will start the race in the number 76 Porsche. And
as you saw at the back of the grid on the final 3 rows, there are out of position LMP3 cars, so that's going to make their life very tough. They've got some 20-odd frantically battling GT3 cars in front of them that they will have to pass before they even get to their 35 other class compatriots ahead.
If I remember the sporting regulations correctly here, these cars will go straight to their formation lap. They will not go to their pit stalls. The pit stalls, by the way, sit in front of the pit garages. The teams set up on pit lane, the regular 24 hours at Le Mans pit lane, but with the pit equipment taken to that pit lane from where their paddock is. That's just in the background there. You can see the tented city behind the karting track.
Can you see it on the trolley, sir? Yeah, you're absolutely right. The cars will come out and do a formation lap, so they will roll out onto the pit straight, do a formation lap, and then there will be a rolling start for the race. You can see the multicoloured Porsche Celebration safety car, leading car in this case, celebrating Porsche's 75 years. And they have been racing cars since day one. So these are the LMP3 cars. Now, to say that they're that they're prototypes like the LMP2s that have been slightly shrunk is to do them a bit of a disservice. Actually, they are very marginally smaller than an LMP2 car, and Graham, actually only very marginally less powerful than an LMP2 car as well.
Yeah, something over 400 horsepower. It's 38 of these LMP3 cars, that distinctive low revving V8 rumble. It's, I believe, 6 Duqueines. We've actually got a Duqueine and a Ligier here. The flatter nose of the car in front there is the Ligier. The more needle nose car is the Duqueine. Same name Duqueine as the Duqueine team. We'll see in the Le Mans 24 Hours tomorrow, owned by the same man and the same company, but the operates Duqueine team and Duqueine Automotive and Duqueine Engineering. But you're right, 5.6 litre Nissan Nismo V8 engine with the same extra gearbox. All of these engines are repaired, built, powertrains sold by Orica.
All teams We have a non-starting car, which is car 14 on row 16. Please remind your driver to leave the gap. Please remind your driver to leave the gap of the car which is non-starting.
That's a real shame. That's Andres Latorre in the third of the Inter-Europol cars, the black liveried car for Inter-Europol. Highly unusual to see them with cars other than their regular livery. We've seen a couple of them, one at Le Mans in the 24 hours and one in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. But sadly, we're not going to see Andres start this race.
Right, I'm going to make a note, because otherwise we'll immediately be drawn to his number. And,
so 38 LMP3s, it is 20 GT3s, a significant boost for this grid. Second car in the order with the regular number 46 car will be Valentino Rossi, starting from the second place on this grid that he earned in his qualifying session. His car, by the way, will start on pole thanks to the efforts of Jerome Policon for race 2 tomorrow. These two WRT prepared BMW M4 GT3s. As the grid just collecting itself. These Michelin tyres, by the way, on all of the cars in both classes in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. There's a clue there.
yeah. Well, you know, it makes life so much more straightforward for the tyre manufacturer, for the car suppliers, and for the teams, because even if you change chassis, if you go from the Ligier with the sort of wider splayed nose and a sort of little dished nose to the Duquesne car you just saw in front with a more traditional sort of wedge-shaped nose, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you go from being a Ferrari to a Honda, like the DMB cars or the Aston Martin, whatever, the tyre remains the same, so you're not having to hunt for a different tyre deal just to suit your car.
Well, there is a difference, by the way, in this formula. It's a Pro-Am formula, as we have in many sports car series worldwide. Free choice for the teams to decide whether or not they start their bronze ranked driver or their more professional driver in many cases. There are some all bronze crews in this field, but we have got some cars right up at the top end, not least the Wayne Boyd pedalled number 23 car that sits second in the order. Daniel Kalovitz, by the way, the number 66 Rinaldi racing car, both professional drivers, and both, I'm sure, will be looking to go to the lead and make good and hope that carnage does not happen behind them.
And that has been the problem historically, especially here, but actually predominantly in most races in Michelin Le Mans Cup history, that if you start your best driver, they tend to lose more time. When are you most likely to have cars making contact? When they're all bunched up together at the start. So you tend to end up with your better driver, better graded driver, faster guy, wasting more of his stint time behind safety cars or in slow zones, which we'll have here. So it's not always worked out entirely well. What does happen then is you'll get some cars that get away, and then in the second half of the race, some cars are dropping back and others are catching and passing. So it can add up to quite a lot of entertainment. Doesn't always work for the teams that have put their better driver in first.
Let's hope for a quiet next hour or so for the ladies and gentlemen in our fabulous race control here at Le Mans. Looking up and down this order for some more cars to watch. Alden Gudmundsson, you mentioned in Team Talk car, the Icelandic entry.
Okay, good job from everybody. Catch up the queue. Catch up the queue.
And that is an Icelandic entry, operated though by High Class Racing. And we'll see Colin Noble aboard that car after Alden Gudmundsson's stints. The green Iron Lynx Lamborghini there, centre of shots. That will be Vincent Abril, ex-Bentley factory driver, aboard that car later. That deal confirmed. There's a single Audi in the field. There he goes, through the front of shots. That is the team from Stellar Engineering Stellar Motorsport in the UK. Reigning GT4 British GT champion, Brendan Fielding, who starts the race, is the pro driver in that car, and was part of that two-man crew with Richard Williams that took a hard-fought win in the GT4 Championship in the UK last year, stepping up to international motorsport, this team, for the first time, with James Wood, we'll see later. And James, amongst his accomplished historic racers, raced in many times in Le Mans Classic, is also the UK ambassador for the Centenary Le Mans.
yeah, has been helping a very great deal gather winning cars for the displays that will be held here this weekend. Great as well to see, actually you can see there in the green overalls with the white sides to them, the return of Murphy's prototypes.
Oh, yes.
Now, Murphy prototypes were a big name in the early years of LMP2 racing here at Le Mans and in the World Championship and European Le Mans Series, and great to see Murphy back. And you can see there some of our guests from L'Ami de l'Air here.
So we've seen them, a lot more of them on race morning.
We'll be hearing a lot more of them on race
Yes,
morning
we
as
will
well.
indeed.
Yeah.
Murphy prototypes, amongst other things, introduced Brendan Hartley into sports car racing.
Yep.
And we have Peter Pedro May from Daily Sports Car to thank for that one. Introduced Brendan Hartley to Greg Murphy.
So let's take a look at our first few cars. The orange and yellow Team Virage, United Autosport dark blue with red and white. Rinaldi Racing third and Nielsen fourth. Now Nielsen again, Tony Wells and
James Littlejohn, I think, in this.
in this one, but Nielsen have got quite a lot of heritage.
I apologise. Of course, it's just I constantly do this. That's the ELMS crew. It's Josh Skelton.
Josh Skelton in with Tony Wells. And starting their car, starting quite a long way back, turning down in 19th place. There is
Leading car has been instructed to go 80 kilometers per hour. Please assume grid position from now on. From now on, that looks very good.
So we just saw the side of the number 46 BMW, the Doctor Valentino Rossi.
Please close the gaps, assume grid position now. Assume grid position now. No more weaving, please assume grid position now.
Doctor, by the way, Valentino Rossi made a stellar start to
Please,
his
guys, no more
2023
weaving,
season
please
in the
assume
GT
grid
World
position.
Challenge. And he's made a big step between
Close the
seasons
gaps.
in
The
his
gap
skill sets
of
aboard this
car
BMWs
14 on
with
the grid must
WRT.
be respected.
And he's doing a lot of racing as well. He's racing with Vincent Voss and WRT in the Fanatec GT series and in the Michelin Le Mans Cup here at Le Mans. And you know, this is a turn of water. This is the kind of Michael Fassbender path, isn't it?
Close the gaps. Close the gaps.
Although Fassbender didn't start in Le Mans Cup, he started in ELMS.
Before that, Porsche Cup.
Yeah.
A couple of seasons in Porsche Cup, and it's taken him some time to get up to speed with this one, but coming in hot, if you like, here to the Le Mans 24 Hours. I think he'd have been happier, Fassbender, with
the gaps,
an
close the
additional
gaps.
ELMS race before Le Mans.
Look how strung out the GT field is. There's a
coming
lot
together
of cars a long way back coming up at speed. There's
No more weaving, no more weaving.
2 or 3 LMP3 cars in the field as well that are a long way back. So our pole sitters.
Reminder, no overtaking before the line. No overtaking before the line.
So it'd be Martin Rich to lead this field away from Wayne Boyd and Daniel Kalvitz, and those two drivers will be looking to see what they can do to get by the experienced gentleman driver as quickly as possible. That's going to be the game for the second two cars in this queue. We'll call the GT field as and when we get them through safely.
Okay, safety car I was expecting to pull in there. He was waving 2 fingers out of the window.
He'll pull in, I think, as he hits the start-finish straight at the very start, the escape road, if you like to. There he goes.
There you go. Okay, so we are ready to get the first race underway here in the Road to Le Mans, round 2 of the Michelin Le Mans Cup, the first of 2 races here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. The orange and yellow of Team Virage, Martin Rich leading the field. He's got the outside line. Can Wayne Boyd on the inside make inroads? Here comes Daniel Kilvitz around the outside. So good, strong challenge from the Rinaldi Racing driver. He's up to second place, but it will be Wayne Boyd who leads into the first corner. And yeah, as expected, quite a lot of cars. As long as they make a side-by-side contact, it shouldn't be too much of a drama.
A little bit of front to rear contact in amongst the middle of that pack as they came through the first element underneath the Dunlop Bridge.
Looks like one of the either 360 or CD Sport cars dropping a long way back. The M Racing car of Hugo Delacour dropping a long way back as well.
D-Car Engineering car number 3 there, looking to get away with that.
Multiple champions in the LMP3 category. Alexander Buksanov at the wheel of that car.
Rossi to the lead in GT, and amongst that takes the lead from his teammate Tim Whale, and Russell Ward through to second. The Winward Racing 57 Mercedes AMG, as away they go. Wayne Boyd is pulling away here.
Yeah, 2 wide, 3 wide behind, and there is the lead battle in GT, or the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th.
This
goodness me. Look at the doctor there, the BMW, very visible behind the lower slung LMP3 cars.
That's holding him up a little. It's the HCR by Caffeine 6 Porsche.
Somebody off in the gravel, half the field goes through. The BMW's got round. Where is he? Where's Valentino?
33's off.
We've got 6 cars off here.
One of the 488 Ferraris is off. The 2 car is off.
Yeah.
There's damage to that Ferrari, and there's damage to the Ligier that's facing in the wrong direction.
So Russell Ward now leads in the Winwood Racing Mercedes. That was a silver car that got through in the lead of GT3, and Valentino Rossi got shuffled out. Stella Motorsports' Senan Fielding is second, but here we are with the battle just behind the lead group in LMP3. It is all arms and elbows. You don't know where you're going to have to look. Wayne Boyd leads from Daniel Kilvitz in the Rinaldi racing car. There's 2 Team Virage cars nose to tail. That's 4th and 5th.
Yeah, that's Martin Rich ahead of team principal Julian Gerby.
Yeah, Gerby's come a long way up the list. About 7th place battle. Racing Spirit of Le Mans, Jacques Wolf.
Safety car has been called. That's not a surprise. So a couple of cars stranded at the Daytona chicane, the first chicane on the Hunaudière. That incident involved, I think, double figures of cars. Some cars backing out of it.
Tony Wells in the Nielsen Racing number 7 car down to 43rd.
Yeah.
Not sure if he has gone through the next sector, so he is still moving, but that's a disaster for a car that has, well, Tony Wells and Nielsen have twice won in Road to Le Mans races.
Well, we saw Torsten Kratz was caught up in that. Torsten is one of the quick with the bronze drivers that have been hoping for better things there, but they got themselves caught up in that furore.
Valentino Rossi's BMW down to about 8th or 9th in the GT3 field.
Didn't see a hit for Valentino. I think he was just delayed by it.
I think he had to go around the outside. I think he got collected by somebody underneath the graphics, if you like, on that left-hand side of the shot.
Well, I'm sure we'll see more of that as the field comes under control, but it is for the moment Russell Ward. The Winwood racing car, regular racer in IMSA.
The Stella Audi in 2nd place, Senan Fielding. Then Tim Chezik in the HCR with Caffeine 6 machine in 3rd place. That's the best of the Porsches, ahead of Team Parker's Nick Jones.
Interesting to see as well what race controls say about that. That HCR car was one of the cars that went straight on at the chicane, has taken some advantage. Not sure we had much of a choice is the honest answer, but I'll be keen to see whether or not that position is retained by the 86 car. This is the start of the race. That was clean.
Kilvitz around the outside. I was wondering if he'd passed before the line, but he hadn't. So they're under the bridge and away. Yeah, he was clean there.
There's Torsten Kratz very much on the dirt towards the pit wall. Colin Noble watching the starts. This is where the fun and games started to really get underway. You can see there, Valentino Rossi in the middle.
Yeah, keep eyes on the BMW. Where does he disappear? See, the Porsche goes straight through. Valentino on the outside.
Oh, there was a hit.
Yeah, he did get tagged by that spinning LMP3 car, and then it took him a long while to rejoin.
Yeah, nowhere really to go. Went to the outside and was unlucky to get clipped. Let's hope not too much damage. 3 cars eliminated there. That is one of the
Ferraris down there as well. Yeah.
That is the Rondemeus number 52 car that has gone no further.
The AF Corsa car in the United Autosport colours, if you like. There's the number 2 car as well on the crane. That's CD Sports Fabien Michel.
And also further down the track, the number 5 DCAR Engineering car. So the 5, I'm afraid, taken out with that. The 2 we saw, CD Sports Fabien Michel, as you said. Sebastian Arenram, I do apologise, from DCAR Engineering. He seems to be out in the race too. And the Racing Spirit of Le Mans car, the number 9 car of Christian Gissi, he appears to be out too.
Yeah, he is out as well. So
4 cars eliminated.
Yeah, Andres Latour didn't start. In the end, we only lost 4 cars there in what was a 7 or 8 car embouteillage. But as you said, Graham, starting with the Porsche, basically, the HCR Porsche of Timothy Chezik, who's up to 3rd place. I think Nick Jones from Parker went through with him. I think Adrian Watt of Murphy Prototypes went through with him as well, and probably a couple more. There's a few cars out of sync. The 63 Iron Lynx Lamborghini of Hiroshi Hamaguchi looked like it was a long way up. There's the 5 car.
And damage to quite heavy damage to the front left of that car, which was slightly hidden behind the marshals attending to it. Pit entry is closed, so unless he needed emergency service, Rossi unable to stop there. We did see him get quite a clatter to the rear of the car, and it looked to be about the rear wheel area for the Italian.
He has kept going. He is in the train.
See it again.
Again, watch Valentino, the first of the GT cars, the red, white, and blue BMW with the headlights ablaze. He goes around the outside of this little battle. He's on the racing line. Then there's a little bit of confusion between the two. He did get snagged by the spinning car, came back on. Actually came back on alongside the Mercedes out of the turn.
And there was the hit for the number 5 car.
Oh, goodness.
That was quite a big hit as well, so I think he got muck on the tyres, couldn't turn in. In comes the number 33 car. That car had been turned around, has lost the rear wing of that Duquesne.
That's had a good, exhaust is broken. That's had a good old shunt in the side.
That has had a shunt in the side. Would correct one thing I said. I said Senna Fielding seemed to have come out well from that. Well, he certainly got through it unscathed, but he was already up to third before he even got to the chicane. So he'd had a great run into that area. It's taken him a while to recover the 5 car, I think simply because all the available machinery is still being used.
It's already busy. That's Torsten Kratz in the WTM by Rinaldi racing machine, the Wochenspiegel car. Again, you know, all names that we know so well from the Nürburgring 24-hour and from VLN racing. So really tough break. Again, Kratz has had some very good results in these Road to Le Mans races. I'm pretty certain that he's won here. This is 6th season now that we've had Road to Le Mans races.
Torsten Kratz, he is without a doubt one of the quickest of the bronze drivers. We had this team, this car, that driver in the Asia Le Mans series earlier this year, and Torsten was the dominant force as a bronze driver and had absolutely no luck whatsoever. Car let him down. There was, I think, a mistake in one race, but car let him down in a couple of the races. Came away with effectively nothing from a season, that season that took place over 2 weekends in the UAE. And by the way, we'll find out tomorrow where the Asia Le Mans series will be going in this year and next year, if that's where we return to. So
good work, kids. Campers. Stay in the shade, keep hydrated. Bit of a souvenir.
There's a valuable T-shirt.
T-shirt, yeah. I've got one of those at home. But I even brought it here. There's the number 3 DKR engineering car. DKR car, of course, starting and continuing in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. They have won the LMP3 category
3 times, I think it is.
4 times now, I think. Anyway, yeah.
Plus LMS.
Yeah, plus they're now in the European Le Mans Series, plus they're racing here in the full 24-hour race at Le Mans. So finally, we get the Manitou there. And again, these LMP3 cars, like their bigger prototype brothers in LMP2 and Hypercar, all have the mandatory roof fixing points for putting that lifting beam in. Those are all tested in scrutineering. You can see that in the scrutineering in the middle of town last Friday and Saturday. Every single car lifted up by the Manitou and made sure that the lifting system works, because it's really important to be able to get these cars out of the way when they have had a problem.
Well, let's call it as things stand at the moment before these cars are released. It is Wayne Boyd in the lead in the 23 United Autosports cars. We watched the 5 being recovered. Daniel Kilvitz, Rinaldi Racing 66 sits second. John Melson third, and through all of the chaos, Stefan Muller from M Racing. He sits third for Nielsen Racing. Team Virage 4th and 5th, the 58 and the 16 car. Martin Rich started from pole, down in 4th position, now ahead of his own team principal.
And those are the 2 yellow and black cars you can see there, just ahead of Cool Racing's Louis San Juan.
Indeed. Daniel Schneider, second of the United cars, the number 20 car, sits in 7th place. MV2S's 29 car, the hands of Matthias Leuten. Jacques Wolf in the 12 Racing Spirit Le Mans car, the number 12, and the number 3 DKR engineering car at the hands of Alexander Bukantsov. The second of the Duquesnes in the order, Melson in the other one. That is your top 10 as things stand behind the safety car. It's a very battered Duquesne. Let's, before we get into the GT order, go down to Steph Wentworth. Steph, what have you got for us down from pit lane?
Hello guys, I am at the number 33, which is retired. It's coming to the pit lane. Torsten Kratz, who was driving the car, is out of it. There is pretty heavy damage to the back end, as you guys mentioned, but also very much the left side of the chassis. But yes, it's the end of their race.
That's a real shame, and we can see that at least 2 impacts, whether or not one was with the barrier and one was with somebody else.
I think the left side was definitely...
It did look as if that would have been hit hard, didn't it?
That may well have been the incident, actually, where Valentino Rossi got involved as well.
Bent exhaust, and there were certainly signs of tyre on bodywork contact too. In GT, 27th overall overall. And first in GT is the Winwood Racing Mercedes-AMG of Russell Ward, at the moment that 57 Winwood car. Stella Motorsports up to second, the 42 car with Senan Fielding, the reigning British GT4 champion. Tim Kresick in the HCR with Caffeine 6. Porsche, the 86 car, that car sits third. Team Parker Racing, Nick Jones in another Porsche. I think that is the new version, the 992 car, the 18 car, that is fourth. Then we've got the Mercedes Prototypes LMP3 car somewhat out of position before we get into fifth in GT. That's the 63 Lamborghini from Iron Links with Hiroshi Hamaguchi, a man with some heritage in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, one of the very early takers when this was simply a GT3 competition. You'll see Vincent Abril in that car later. It's the 74 Kessel Racing Ferrari. Next up, the 51 AF Corsa Ferrari, that of Hiroshi Kazumi, is in seventh. Team WRT's first BMW, that was the pole-setting car of Tim Whale. That car, the number 31 car, is in eighth. Lippert Motorsports and Gerhard Watzinger, their Lamborghini Huracan, the number 70 car, is ninth. And then rounding out the top 10 in GT3 is Valentino Rossi, who we saw take a bit of a hit, trying to avoid contact, and unfortunately was unable to do so, dropping from the lead to 10th in that melee at the first chicane.
Now, Graham, we talked about the fact that this is a Pro-Am category, and some teams have chosen to put their pro driver in, United Autosports with Wayne Boyd, for instance, but the possibility that that might backfire, because the most likely time, not only likely time, for a safety car would be contact with cars on the opening lap, and so it has proved. So Wayne Boyd, for all the potential pace in the car, is doing exactly the same speed and no more than anybody else, and it looks as though we might get to go green at the end of this lap, but we are on lap 3 of a potential maximum of 13 or 50 minutes.
It's
so
a big long lap,
quarter of a minute in, yeah, so a quarter of an hour in already nearly. So I'm afraid that decision to put the hot shoe in is not working at all. It is a gamble, and they hoped, having qualified where they had on the front row, okay, there's a good chance he might take the lead, there's a good chance he might clear off, and if we're lucky, then he might be able to build up a big advantage by the pit stops. They weren't lucky.
They were not, and it's going to cost them, I'm afraid, the two leading cars in both classes, in fact, with the quicker drivers. I think he was in with Russell Ward in that car, the 57 car. It is George Kurtz, one of our double-duty drivers, which will be in the Le Mans 24 Hours as well. So he's got a lot of track time to come. It's Manu Collard. We'll see Manu, one of the most experienced drivers in history here at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. He shares the AF Corsa Ferrari 296. Just seeing where Charles-Henri Samani is in the 83 car. And if you look carefully when we get a chance to see that 83 Ferrari 296, the opposite livery of the sister 80 car on the field for the Le Mans 24 Hours, and that comes because Charles-Henri Samani is the brother-in-law of Francois Perraudin.
So his, what's the negative of a zebra? Well, it's a negative zebra anyway. So that car is actually in 16th place in GT3, so 45th overall.
But where there's black, there's white, there's white, there's black on that one. But down the Hunaudière they come in a somewhat wiggly line as they seek to keep as much heat as possible in these Michelin tyres.
Yeah, and you do that by partly weaving, but also by accelerating and braking. Building heat through the brakes helps to heat up the tyre rim, which helps to keep the air temperature high enough in the tyre, which helps to keep the carcass heated. So United Autosports from Rinaldi, so that's the red highlights on the Rinaldi car, then more black on the number 4 Nielsen car, then the pair of Team Virage cars. Those are the yellow, orange and black machine. Cool Racing, the darker car, in 6th place. Every single marshal here has got one of these centenary caps with the 100th anniversary circle on the front and Commissaire du Piste on the back, and I would imagine for every single one of them that will be a hugely treasured memento.
I completely agree. Couldn't do whatever you can do for these, ladies and gentlemen. They are an astonishing part of what makes motorsport tick. We literally could not go racing anywhere without them.
Without marshals, there would be no racing, no motorsport whatsoever. So, yeah, congratulations to all of them for making it here, and thank you indeed for helping out. Number 20 United Autosports car you just saw going through behind the lead, half dozen. That's Daniel Schneider. Matthias Leuten behind him for MV2S. A little further back, you can see the green and yellow of Inter Europol, always easy to spot. That's Chris Short. He's in 17th place in the field. CD Sport as well, that's easy to spot, the red car with the yellow stripe down the centre.
So taking a look at, hopefully listening as well. Hello, mate. Well, the
probably
mobile
listening
phone.
in French or German or something else other than English.
But where they come.
Reminder of the gaps behind safety car, gaps between cars behind safety car.
There would have been clear instructions given in the driver's briefing here. We often talk about driver's briefing, huge detail given, safety-related instructions about all of these procedures, the start procedure, the finishing procedure, safety cars, full course yellows, slow zones, all briefed. There's no surprises, or rather there shouldn't be to anybody who's been listening.
M Racing, you might think, oh, M, that's Muller, Yvan Muller. M Racing is Monnier. Justine Monnier, his longtime partner, who is in fact the team principal. Yvan Muller is just there as a helping hand. So it's YMR, Yvan Muller Racing, yep. M Racing, Monnier Racing. So that's been the team over the last few years.
Introduced myself, by the way, to the family dog at Barcelona.
Did you indeed?
Oh, absolutely lovely. Yeah, little puppy.
There's not a not lovely member of the family, I have to say.
There you go, and yeah, good conversation with them as. What was not a successful weekend for them, I'm afraid, in Barcelona. Car taken out in unfortunate incidents, and safety car is going to come in this lap. The Porsche will pull off and let this field go.
No overtake before the line.
And it will be 52 cars to retake this start. 57 started. We lost 4 in the first chicane, 1 at the exit of the. Sorry, 3 in the first chicane, 1 at the exit of the first chicane, and the 33 car, as we heard from Steph Wentworth, retired on pit lane after damage with that incident. We're about to go green flag racing again, Martin Haven. It will be 11 laps to go, or a further 32 minutes. Remember, we've got a compulsory pit stop to serve for each of these cars in between.
Green flag, we're back to racing. Green flag, we're back to racing.
And this is,
we see the
Wayne Boyd now and Daniel Kilvitz really have to earn their beans now, because they have got to gap the field as much as possible. It is the end of lap 3, so what would probably have been a 6 or 7 lap stint for them, so they're already halfway into their drive in terms of potential laps, and maybe more than that. We're 19 minutes into the 50-minute race, so we're fast approaching the time where many of the bronze-rated drivers, the gentlemen drivers, if you like, the amateur drivers in the cars, are going to be thinking about heading into the pits after maybe 1 green lap, maybe 2, and hand the car over to the quicker driver for a little bit more time behind the wheel.
Luke Allen there with a good move, pick up a couple of places in the Graf Racing car, 39 up to 9th. 3 car tussle there as they come through Tête Rouge and onto the first stage of the Nordier, the Mulsanne Straight.
And again, for many of these cars, they've only raced against each other once this season. There's a much bigger field than we're seeing. The 2 Virage cars are swapping. Julian Jerby, the team boss, will go by Martin Rich on the outside. But they have to be careful. The cool racing car of Luis San Juan is tucked in behind Jerby.
Not sure he's got it done, you know.
He's just got enough, not quite enough to go around the outside. That was uncomfortable for the 2 of them.
So that's actually, if anything, helped Martin Rich, one who has contested the Le Mans 24 Hours in the past, amongst other occasions, with the Lotus GTE car back in the day, part of that effort.
Graf Racing's Luca Allen now up to 8th place. And here comes the queue up behind Julian Jerby, Martin Rich, the first of the yellow cars, and Jerby being sucked up by 3-4 cars, slipstreaming up behind him. He comes back underneath Luis San Juan. That's a good drive, a good bit of driving from Julian Jerby. Luis San Juan behind him, then Daniel Schneider, Luca Allen and Matthias Leuten at the back of this little group, loitering with intent.
Yeah, it was a kind of 5 ferrets of a sack approach there to the chicane, and it looked for a moment as if Daniel Schneider might pick up a couple of places, but didn't. But he's right there in the mix here.
Next queue is Fraser. In fact, it's not even a queue really. It's joining up now. Fraser Ross in the Graf Racing car, number 10. There he is. He's got a battle on his hands as well with Jacques Wolf.
We're going to see if we stick with this shot. There's a new leader in GT3 because Stella Motorsports' Senan Fielding has gone through into the lead of the GT3 pack. 27th overall. Where is he? There it is. The white, orange and grey car ahead of the principally white AMG. So Russell Ward has lost the lead of this race in GT3 to the British driver.
Andrew Ferguson, 24/7 Motorsport LMP3 car right in front,
side,
holding them both up. They are side by each with the Mercedes the advantage on the outside. Here comes the Porsche from behind in third place, HCR. It's Tim Kresick.
So back to the lead, Russell Ward for the moment at least, and Fielding looking up the inside, see what he can do. Is it going to be this time the AMG that's actually bought by the slower LMP3 goes to the outside? That becomes the inside for Arnage corner, and I think that is it going to go the Audi? It's just enough room, but just enough, but no, under braking, Audi takes it. This is real door-to-door, wheel-to-wheel stuff. The Porsche's in the mix as well.
Porsche's got
the GT3.
Porsche's got alongside the Mercedes. And the Yamaguchi right behind in the green Iron Lynx. Aston Martin coming under pressure from the better of the WRT BMWs, and another change for the lead. Mercedes trying to go a long way around the outside, does not get there. Senan Fielding still leads in the Stella Motorsport Audi.
Yeah, it looks to me as if the AMG's got it on straight line speed, but Senan Fielding, I think he's taken the brave pill because that's a couple of times with a really great manoeuvre under brakes to take the inside line into a couple of very challenging corners, but it's a better run here from Russell Ward. He's back on the rear of the Audi as they come towards the end of the lap, and it's off the track for Senan Fielding.
He's got to get by this 24/7 Motorsport LMP3 car, but that big V8 engine just keeps it in front in the straights. Now he's got the gap he needs. Now Senan Fielding in the Audi can start to stretch away and leave the Mercedes to try and find his way by the LMP2 car. There's been a couple of changes ahead of them, but let's take a look back. There's the BMW now, that's up to third place. That's
Rossi. That's Rossi.
Is that Rossi? What a fantastic
what a restart from him.
He's had.
7 places gained from Valentino Rossi. I said his form had improved. Boy, has it. He's all over Russell Ward now. There is damage to the side. We saw where that impact was. There's kind of side skirts on the BMW, but it's going to be all over Russell Ward as they come onto the Mulsanne straights after the Forest S is here.
And this is the podium because all three of them have got ahead of that LMP2 car, the 24/7 Motorsport car, and that is going to hold up the rest of the field. So it is now who gets the best out of this. Wayne Boyd, the race leader in the 23 United Autosports car. Rinaldi's Daniel Kielwitz. Those are the headlines you can see behind, and that's why suddenly everybody has vanished.
We're in the pit window, and half the field, there's 22 cars have continued. There's 30 cars on pit lane. Steph, if you can catch up with most of those in the next 2 minutes, that'd be great.
She's got all that. I did wonder why timing and scoring had gone mental, and suddenly the Stella Motorsport Audi was 11th overall. I thought that can't be right, it'll settle down in a moment, but that's because 20 cars went into the pit lane from LMP2.
There is going to be trouble for Senan Fielding, reported to the stewards for overtaking beyond the track limits at Marshall's Post 33. That was that sideways moment through the Porsche curves under pressure from the AMG. And he took the line he felt was available to him, and it just closed on him, didn't it?
Yeah, he will argue that when he went for it, there was a gap and the LMP3 car closed the door, and what was he supposed to do? Now here comes half the LMP3 field rushing up. Now notice the two Virage cars are being separated. There's the United Autosports car that was behind both of them, the 97 car, that is Cool Racing's David Drew.
Now we've got some quick guys joining here.
Yeah,
there's no further action, by the way.
United is former Le Mans winner Andy Merrick.
What's happened here?
There's some unsafe releasing going on.
Very much so.
Yeah, it's such a tight pit lane with so many cars. That was the number 12 car, that's Racing Spirit of Lemon's Entente de Coin, who's a late addition to the field. Anton was actually anticipating being in the commentary box this afternoon, but he's doing something much more worth his while.
Yeah, Antoine de Camp, by the way, on double duty here at Le Mans, not just racing here in the Road to Le Mans races, but also selling models, spot models at a couple of the trade stands around the park. If you are around, do say hello to Antoine. Lovely young man. Terrible luck last season in the LMS, but leads the European Le Mans Series this year. courtesy of a win, first time out of Barcelona in the LMS for the 2022 champions in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, Racing Spirit Le Mans. Previously, by the way, the team that looked after Cool Racing.
Four-way battle, the 7th, they've yet to stop. Everybody down to 22nd place has yet to stop, including the first 8 GT3 cars. Those are the grey backgrounds you can see on the numbers. United Autosport Wayne Boyd leads by 3.7 seconds, and Rinaldi Racing's Daniel Kilvitz is 15 seconds ahead of the Graf Racing duo, Luca Allen and Fraser Ross in 3rd and 4th place. And here is our GT3 battle. It is closing up. The white Mercedes, Russell Ward, then Senna and Fielding in the Audi now at the back of that trio, because Valentino Rossi and Russell Ward have both gone by. I wonder if Senna and Fielding pulled over and let them go.
I was wondering whether or not that might be the case to fend off the issue. In comes Rossi.
Russell Ward, did he sell them a dummy there? I'm going in, and then changed his mind at the last minute.
Russell Ward is going to continue in splendid isolation.
Yeah, he really will be Billy No Mates out there on his own way. There's only 8 cars in front of him on the road. Down the road comes Valentino Rossi. Senna and Fielding follows him along the pit lane.
Started second, but down to 10th after a clash, not of his making. Comes back into the pits in second and will hand over to his bronze-ranked teammate. It's as will indeed Senna Fielding.
Yep.
Well, that was some opening stint here, wasn't it? Jerome Policon, the team principal of the Codis ESP, very successful team in GT3 racing, oddly enough, with Mercedes AMG.
And a hugely successful GT racer himself, Jerome Policon. I mean, big single-seater ace in his time, and one of France's real Formula One hopes that never got the breaks.
Let's watch
now
it.
Then,
did he sell a dummy? Was he told to continue?
Yeah, maybe do not box. Maybe if he saw that. Yeah.
There's the side skirt.
Yeah.
It's been ripped off the BMW.
Service requirements.
These, by the way, are timed stops for all of these cars, so there will be less of a rush than normally would be. James Wood being installed into the Audi.
Yep. Hard to think of Jerome Policon being a bronze.
Yeah. Stella Motorsport, by the way, if it's not a team you're familiar with, there's a couple of cars running way off the track there. This is the 30 car from Fricadelli Motorsport. What a month or so they've had. A win, the first 24-hour race win for the Ferrari 296 GT3 for Klaus Abelman's team. He wasn't part of the driving squad, but the Nürburgring 24 hours, fabulous race, fabulous win for them, and a lot of it done with tears in the eyes of the memory of his late partner, Sabine Schmitz.
Yeah, Belen Garcia for 360 Racing, the Silverstone-based team, right ahead of Felipe Fernandez-Lazer, or Felipe Lazer, as we more often call him.
Well, Felipe was part of that driving squad that took the Nürburgring 24-hour win. Belen Garcia, ex-Formula W racer, loses that position. Spanish driver.
Again, that was a change for, what are we talking, 25th place. That might be 15th. That might be a position change for points by the time everybody has stopped. Still a lot of cars, half a dozen cars yet to make their pit stop, so maybe they're not going to get that much, but...
Felipe Lazer is on a mission here.
Isn't he, though? Wade
Boyd, Daniel Kalvitz. They are, 30 seconds to the good now of the chasing cars.
Yeah, Adrian Keeler in 3rd place for Cool Racing, 32.5 seconds behind the leader and 15 seconds, or 29 seconds behind 2nd place. So,
what is that? Just 7 cars have not pitted. There's number 3 car, stationary in pit lane.
DKR's multiple championship winning number, Alexander Bukatsov, came in, and it should be James Winslow who heads back out in it.
That car is not moving.
No, it really isn't. Looked like he was power cycling to try and get it to go again.
Winslow, a solo driver in the Ligier European Series round. We had in the middle of the 2 test day sessions.
Yeah.
It is a 10-second penalty for car 33 for unsafe rejoin at Marshall's post 11. Well, that's not going to matter. That car is out of the race.
Yeah, and that was at the first chicane. There's been a lot of video, getting a lot of studying is there. Nice 7 from Cool Racing.
Wade Boyd on pit lane now, as is the 2nd and 3rd place car. I think we can see the rest of them follow those down. I think they've got to at this stage. We're about to leave the pit window. So Wayne Boyd comes in, 3 seconds to the good from Daniel Kvyat, but 35 seconds to the good, the pair of them over the third place car. Here's another huge gaggle of cars. James Wood in the middle of that in the Audi. That is the Racing Spirit of Le Mans. Aston Martin leading with at least one of the G&B Motorsports Hondas in the middle of that too.
Yep.
Look at this little lot.
Porsche
That is the G&B
joining from the
BMW at the
gravel.
back. I think we had Steph calling us from pit lane there.
Yeah. Let's have a quick word. What have you got for us, Steph?
I am at the pit lane entry where the DPR engineering car number 3 has stopped on entry. It looks like it's going to be the end of that race. The the mechanics were just running down the pit lane to figure out what the issue is. These yellow flags waving just to make sure all of the other drivers are aware. But yeah, stationary in pit lane.
All right, thank you very much. Drama there for the Iron Lynx Lamborghini spinning at the Mulsanne corner, and lots more action going on here. This is the HCR car of Anders Fjordbach, second behind, or was second behind Jerome Policon, has now taken the lead. Max Hesse behind them in the 31 car moved up to second, and so Policon down to third place. So Jerome Policon with the blue highlights in the BMW going from first to third. Ferrari behind is Kessel Racing's David Fumanelli, and then Louis Hamilton-Smith behind them. Scott Mulvin in the Parker Racing Porsche, hoping for a little bit of a decent result here.
Yeah, 2 cars in trouble at Mulsanne corner. One, you're quite right, was indeed the Iron Lynx car, and that had been turned around. See what caused the issue for Vincent Abriel, but also in trouble was the MV2S car of Jerome Savalier going straight on at Mulsanne corner, but recovering the car.
We're going to have a slow zone there in a moment or two, and that won't affect these guys until they get round to complete another lap. Everybody has stopped, so 25 to 35 minutes is the pit window. They have all done their driver changes. And out comes the Winwood Mercedes, and he will retake the lead of the race, won't he? That's George Kurtz at the wheel of the Winwood Mercedes.
Yeah, and that's but with a rapidly closing Anders Fjordbach fully lit.
Yeah.
And Max Hesse and Anders Fjordbach have their own battle, and that's the 46 car. That is Jerome Policon in the car started by Valentino Rossi, and once again that car is going to fall back down the order. The lead has changed in GT3. Anders Fjordbach goes to the lead, hits the back of the Graf car.
Yeah,
something flies off the rear. That's one of the legality panels, I think.
Yeah.
But under pressure from the BMW, found the place he needed to be, filled by the Ligier.
Third place.
This is fast and furious stuff.
Third place is still the white Mercedes of Kurtz. And in fourth place, closing fast, is David Fumanelli in the red Kessel Racing Ferrari. The Mercedes is being left by the leaders. He's trying to find his way by the LMP3 car as well. And then just behind, you can see the next GT battle, Team Parker's Scott Mulvin. And he's got AF Corsa Kai Cozzolino behind him. Cozzolino, another driver doing double duty in the 24 Hours of Le Mans and in Road to Le Mans. Because if you can hear, race everything.
Well, there you go. Behind the white Mercedes, you can see the background there for third place in the battle there with Kessel Racing's David Fumanelli. Vincent Abriel is out of this. The 63 car out, but it's the 488 Ferrari at the moment that leads the new 296. Kai Cozzolino is in the first of the 296 cars, but this is Anders Fjordbach being chased by Max Hesse for the lead in GT3. 24th place overall up for grabs here. The lead of the race, by the way, it is John Schaumann rejoining in the lead as they come into the slow zone from Rinaldi Racing's Steve Parrow, and then Matt Bell is right on the pair of them. This is going to be a key moment or two in the race for Matt Bell, taking over from John Milsom. And Nielsen Racing looking pretty good here with their pro driver aboard, and the 2 cars ahead with their bronze driver to defend for a further 35 minutes.
So slow zone down at Mulsanne corner. That will extend.
Apologies, not 35 minutes, 15 minutes.
15 minutes. That will extend from the second chicane down to Mulsanne corner. So here on the run from Mulsanne through to Indianapolis, we are back up to full racing speed. There's the battle for second.
That's Matt Bell.
Rinaldi and Nielsen. And there's Virage and Cool Racing, the 97 car now in the hands of David Drew. Behind them, Andy Merrick, on winner, Bentley racer.
Yeah, and Gillian Henrion, the dominant winner of the Ligier European Series in 2022, and moving up with assistance from Ligier to this, there you go, in the background, the third of the Team Virage cars. Andy Merrick tucking in there behind the cool racing car.
He's pushing this train from behind, isn't he, Andy Merrick? He's getting a good run down here. This is on the old road circuit, or it is still public road, but this follows the trace of the original circuit back in 1928. They didn't used to turn past the pits and head into the Dunlop curves. They went into the middle of town, almost the middle of town, to the hairpin of Pont-Lieu, just over the river in the central Le Mans, the River Sarthe. Then came back out on what was a 10-mile circuit.
This could be quite the battle, these four, you know. And that is the Virage car going to the outside and taking that, and also at the same time Matt Bell goes through and into the lead of the race.
Great stuff from Espirito Santo in the Virage car. Here comes Andy Merrick. He's made up 2 spots in about 3 corners there.
David Drew made a bit of a mess of the into the Ford chicane.
Oh, and there's the Thor Racing car as well.
That's Colin Noble trying to make good his escape. Turned to the wall. That was David Drew on the inside of Andy Merrick. There's a big shot for Andy Merrick.
And that might bring out a safety car, and if it does, that might well be the end of the race. We've only got just over 12 minutes of racing left. That is a big accident, and that car is not going to be easy to move.
This was coming into the fortune. This was the lead change. Matt Bell goes to the outside, makes that change cleanly. This was the move from Matt Bell and John Sharman. It's what happened behind here, though, Martin, that started the dramas. It was something that happened going into the chicane. David Drew clattered across the curbs, tried to go up the inside, tagged the rear of Andy Merrick's car up against the pit wall, and launched the Ligier, the United Autosports Ligier, hard into the concrete barrier.
Yeah, at that stage they're accelerating hard in top gear. That is a big, big impact.
At 1912 we will activate slow zone 1. We will deploy slow zone 1 in 30 seconds. In 30 seconds we will deploy slow zone 1.
That was a big impact for Andy, and I hope he gets out of that okay, because seemed to be those 2 drivers. Something happened coming into the Ford chicane. David Drew clattered across the inside, retained some challenging position, and he moved across to block that really quite forcefully. They ran along pit road. David Drew moved off the pit wall too early, tagged the rear of the United car and launched it.
Slow zone 1 is now active.
Well, that's not where these cars are. Here is the battle for third place.
That is third place.
Who's that going very slowly?
Is that another slow zone?
No.
Oh, you're right, it's not. What happened there?
Who was that going very slowly? Was that a Rinaldi racing car? Or was that a Nielsen car?
That's
a Nielsen car, Matt Bell.
Matt Bell's in trouble.
Matt Bell is in trouble.
But seems to have recovered some.
So through goes the number 4 car of Matt Bell. So what on earth are they seeing? What on earth are they hearing?
There was something went on there. I'd love to hear from Matt Bell what on earth that was all about. But he's lost a huge amount of time.
Yeah. Race leader is Manuel Espirito Santo in the 58 Team Virage car. This is the battle for second. John Sharman has gone through, so this is third. Matt Bell, Antoine Ducat and David Drew.
Well, Matt Bell just lost momentum for whatever reason, whether it was a problem with the car. Side by side there, the Racing Spirit Le Mans and Cool Racing cars.
So David Drew, and then behind them Colin Noble, the white and blue of Team Thor.
Well, we'll wait and see what happened in that situation. I'm sure we'll hear from Matt after the race what on earth occurred there. But look at the gap that's left.
Cool Racing, Team Thor's Colin Noble has spent most of his career racing with Nielsen, so he will know that team in front. Here we go, Ferrari on Ferrari action.
That is 488, being challenged by the 296, and it was the 488. They'll run through Mulsanne corner. It's a bit of a mess there from Kei Kozolino, I think, wasn't it?
And it was Kei Kozolino. He's lost a couple of places there. The Aston Martin has gone through.
This is the winner from Barcelona, Valentina Haseklar. Lost just the 1 place there, and I think it's the older of the 2. Team Parker cars in the hands of Scott Mulvern that is right there now with Gozzolino. Then we've got George Kurtz and the first of the GMB cars.
The LMP3 car making its way through as Ugo de Sadolea. Is that Dino Lardi Udexpel? There is
the Doctor.
Yeah, the Doctor.
I'm afraid that car dropped way back after that spin for Jerome Policon.
But we know his potential and the potential of the car for sure. Again,
by the way, in the mix there, the second of the Hondas you'll see in the background here is Magnussen. So Manuel Espirito Santo leads from John Schaumann.
Attention to the pit wall, incident involving car 20 under investigation. Incident involving car 20 under investigation.
That was the car of Andy Merrick.
Okay, now they're in the slow zone.
So let's, while we've got a moment of calm, Team Virage lead, 58. Manuel Espirito Santo coming into that slow zone, 8 seconds ahead of John Schaumann, who's in a fantastic second place.
So that's John Schaumann just on the left of your shot. So this is the battle for second.
After whatever happened when Matt Bell is now going to retake second place and go off in pursuit of the new leader. Matt Bell then
and then Anton Docan goes by, and David Drew is looking to pounce as well. John Schaumann did not get the speed limiter released there. In the slow zone, they'll be on a separate speed limiter to the pit limiter, doing 80 kilometres an hour. It still looks like it's not released.
Yep, Espirito Santo, Bell, Docan, Drew, Noble, Schaumann, Nico Schatz, and then Matthias Poulet, the top 8. In GT3, by the way, it is still under Fjordbach and Max Hesse, nose to tail. This was the incident. Merrick moved hard across to block.
Not at the end of the straight, they were basically parallel.
Well before that, but that was a big hit.
The real problem for the Cool Racing driver David Drew there is that he had 2 wheels over the white line in no man's land where he should not have been, and he continued there and continued to try and push on there. This is Max Hesse in second place in the BMW, the black and white car.
He's dropping back here from Anders Fjordbach. He's under some pressure from Dino Lenardi, I think, is that in the IDEX Sport car.
That is Dino Lenardi coming through, We saw Jerome de Sadolea out of position in his LMP3 car a little further back. That is Dino Lenardi. Now the BMW could pick up a bit of a toe. I wonder if that gap is possibly, again, the relative speed of release of the cars from the slow zone and the relative positions in which they decelerated into the slow zone.
Yeah, so Matt Bell, 7.8 seconds he's got here to catch up with 11.5 minutes. Now moves to a timed race.
It'll be 2.5 laps from here on, so 3 laps effectively.
He's taken a second out of the leader. This is the pair of GMB cars trying to close. Oh, a big wiggle there for Jerome Policon, and that loses under places to the 2 GMB Hondas.
Jan Magnussen just ahead of Simon Birch there in the those 2 cars, so that's a change around. I beg your pardon, Simon Birch ahead of. I know all 3 of them are in fact in nose tail. Christian Poulsen in his car is not with them.
It's a BMW.
Here we go. Here is the swap. Yeah, it's a BMW run by GMB.
This is a spirited battle between Racing Spirit Le Mans and Cool Racing. As I said earlier, Racing Spirit Le Mans used to be the team that ran Cool Racing. It isn't anymore. That's now CLX Motorsport, the organisation headed by Nico Lapierre.
Racing Spirit Le Mans with a win and a 1-2 last year. Was it 1-2 in race 1 and a victory in race 2, or the other way around? I think they were just the dominant force here in the Road to Le Mans races. Again, you can see Anton Docan looking left, looking right, above and below. Rinaldi Racing 66, dropping further down the order. David Drew.
Yeah, it's David Drew that's doing the jinking around in the back. It's Antoine Docan in the car ahead in this battle. This is the battle for third. They're 2 seconds off. Matt Bell, by the way, is closing in, but is he closing in quickly enough?
So 66 Ronaldo, Steve Parrow, who's lost another place. He really is dropping down the order as both M Racing cars have gone by him. As we watch this little battle, there is the Cool Racing car of Anton Ducoin. And here again, back with the lead battle. So again, the BMW does look like it's got at least the pace of the Porsche in front. Anders Fjordbach ahead of Max Hesse.
This is all about a race win. Shouldn't forget either, this is about a championship, and the WRT car behind is not a championship entered car. The pink and blue car ahead, the purple and blue car ahead most certainly is. This is looking good for them at the moment, because the third place car isn't in this championship either.
Anders Fjordback with plenty of experience. He's quite a veteran driver.
Well, another one doing double duty, of course. He's in the 32 LMP2 car in the 24 Hours of Le Mans with Jan Magnussen, who's in this race in a different car.
A couple of cars back, actually. Jan Magnussen is, where is he in class? He's in 7th place in class. The lead GMB Motorsport Honda.
Yeah, trying to close in, by the way, on Scott Malvern.
Hesse all over the back of the Porsche. The BMW's got more speed. We saw from Valentino Rossi how quick the car can be. Not this one, but the other one. They're both run by the same team. Hesse with the inside line.
BMW junior driver Hesse, and he's very quick indeed. Into the Dunlop they go.
And look at the way he's piling the pressure on the race leader, Anders Fjordback, looking outside, looking inside, everywhere. Having a great run here.
They're loving this on this panel. He's got a bit.
Here he goes.
There's a big shot there for the 64. That's the second of the Team Parker cars. That's Scott Malvern, isn't it?
And that is a big shunt. He's taken a lot of the curb on the right-hand side in the final part.
It's Alex Martin in the 64 car.
In the final part of the Porsche curves.
And that is a big one.
Just under 8 minutes of the race remain. That might have to be a slow zone as well. Ready, I think it's going to be. Here we go on the straight. What's the BMW got on legs? He's got the inside line. He's trying to make some space for himself. Blue flag waves. Is there a change for the lead? Max Hesse on the inside of Anders Fjordback. He goes through. That was always going to happen, it seemed. It was just a matter of time. The battle, David Drew, Colin Noble and Anton Ducoin now in that order for third. That's it, there's Colin Noble now emerged at the front of that queue. There's Virage and Nielsen's Matt Bell, first and second. Colin Noble in third. Safety car. I'm not surprised either. There must be a bit of a debris field in the Porsche curves.
Well, are we going to get this race back to green flag running, I think is the question. And that's another incident. It's a 59 car from Team Virage off the road as well. That's down on the run down to Tete Rouge, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And there's two separate incidents, one opposite the paddock for these cars. See again what happened here. This was the Alex Martin issue. Got caught out on the exit there by an LMP3 car, not clearing the corner as quickly as expected.
And had to breathe off the throttle, and that is disaster in a 911. You shift all the weight to the wrong places.
That is going to be a difficult car to fix for tomorrow as well, which is even worse trouble.
I'm afraid I agree. The 64 car may not come out.
Alex still in that car. Driver appears to be out of the Virage car.
Alessandro Bracalenti is beached. It looks like the car's undamaged, actually. It's just teeter-tottering there on the grass verge inside the outside the curbing, but the rear wheels are hanging over a gap. So Manuel Espirito Santo leading. He was not far ahead of Matt Bell. There is Matt Bell in second with the red stripe, the red noseband. Let's go with horse racing parlance. Team Thor, Colin Noble. Again, he is up in third place. He has had success in this race, and it looks like it might be coming to him again.
It's going to be, this is going to be the order, because with 5.5 minutes left on the clock, and they're going to pick up the safety car as they start this final lap. That is more than a lap under the safety car. So this will be, I'm sure, the race finish order. We'll call it at the moment as things stand, as they wait to pick up the safety car. Manuel Espirito Santo in the number 58 Team Virage Ligier leads the race from Nielsen Racing's number 4, the Duquesne Matt Bell. And Matt Bell, by the way, before we got there, had taken 5.5 seconds out that lead.
And how important then was that move by Max Hesse? Never wait, always go. He made the move on Anders Fjordback, and that may have sealed victory for the BMW and Team WRT ahead of the HCR with Caffeine 6 Porsche of Anders Fjordback.
Team Tour and Colin Noble will, by the look of things, certainly will hit the safety car in third position. And could this be a first international racing podium for an Icelandic team?
Yeah, I would think it very likely is to be as well, and at Le Mans, definitely.
Yeah, Antoine Decat in 4th, by the way, at the moment for Racing Spirit Le Mans, as the safety car indeed does pick them up. Cool Racing 5th. A&S Motorsport, great result for them at this stage, in 6th with Nico Schatz. Mathis Boulet in the MV2S car, the 29 car at the moment, sitting in 7th as they pass the wreck of the 59 car and the barrier to the outside.
It looks like it's got, I mean, there's a tiny bit of damage, but not much. There's Vincent Vos with the doctor on the pit wall for WRT, by the way. You saw Kurt Mollekens, yet another Belgian racing legend, who is part of this organisation. He's been part of their GT racing programme for a number of years.
Yeah. I mean, it's so many big names from the past in Belgian racing are part of this WT operation, operated with pride, and will be coming, of course, to hypercar here at Le Mans next year with BMW
and GT3 at Le Mans with BMW, and that will be Kurt Mollekens' remit, because Tassa and the rest of them and Vincent Vos there will be focused on
still in that car.
They'll be focused on hypercars. Oh, Kurt, I need a push.
So, still smiling. Not the result they would have wanted, but they will start tomorrow's race from pole position, by the way.
He enjoys racing anything, Valentino Rossi. I mean, everybody will know him from motorcycle racing, because I started commentating on him when he was 14 in the Spanish 125 or whatever it was, championship, maybe 250s then. But everybody knows him as a racing hero. However, last lap for the leaders. However, he also still races motorcycles all the time on his ranch with his own MotoGP team, with his own young riders, and has really taken to four-wheel motorsport, not just in rallying, not just testing cars, but now racing. He's becoming a really fully-fledged GT racer.
You seldom see him with anything other than a smile at the race circuit.
Do you know what?
There's one remaining question. I will say we're seeing some joy here from Team Virage, and quite right there should be. So I want to be sure that Alex Martin was okay. That was a big shunt. The same, by the way, for Andy Merrick. 2 big shunts in that race. Neither were pleasant to watch.
Yep.
And I think there might be some conversations with race control about at least one of them.
Yeah, I think Cool Racing's David Drew probably has an appointment with the stewards. It will be investigated.
Pit lane, obviously we will finish under safety car, At the end of this lap, the safety car will enter the pit lane and you will cross the finish line on track without overtaking each other. Reminder, at the Dunlop curves we'll make you U-turn in the motorbike pit lane to go down the pit lane. We will finish under safety car.
So made very clear indeed by race control what is expected this. They are then seeing, and we can now call, Martin, what the race order is going to be. It will be a race win as long as they complete this lap behind the safety car from the 58 Team Virage car.
And that is their first at Le Mans, isn't it?
It's their first at Le Mans.
Yep.
Nielsen Racing will take second. Matt Bell with a spirited push to get back with the leader of the race. It'd be interesting to find out what happened with Matt and why he lifted off, and whether or not he had a problem in that car, whether or not he saw something happened. He lost what looked to be a convincing lead, whether or not there was a misgit, whatever it was, but rescued second place with a spirited run there for the Nielsen Racing squad. Team Tour and a famous podium finish for the number 77 car, Colin Noble, with a great run up through the field as well.
And of them, it's Colin Noble who knows what that view looks like.
Colin, a previous Michelin Le Mans Cup champion, of course, and
seen that view a few times.
Great to see him back in podium form here. In GT3, it will be Team WRT, the 31 car, the other car. It'll be Max Hesse after that great battle with and pass on Anders Fjordbach. Team WRT's 31 BMW ahead of the HDR with Caffeine 6 86 Porsche, the 991.2 version of the Porsche GT3. Kessel Racing will take the final podium position in the number 74 Ferrari 488 ahead of the Aston Martin of Valentina Harzak-Klo. Another of our double duty drivers, of which we have plenty in this race. It's a very busy weekend for a lot of teams and drivers.
Well, and that's all part of it. Again, you know, the Road to Le Mans is not just to encourage teams and drivers to move up into European Le Mans Series with a view to maybe earning a place at Le Mans or joining the World Championship. But in this paddock are drivers who are racing against you and also doing Le Mans this weekend.
Yes.
So you've got the guys like Kai Kotzolino, and you've got the guys like Jan Magnussen, and you've got the guys like Valentin Asiclo. And that's all the encouragement. That's the only encouragement these drivers need, because they're on the same grid. They are literally racing door handle to door handle with guys who are also going to be in the big show. And that means you know you can do it. You've just got to somehow get the pieces to work together. And the team's the same deal. You've got Edex Sport here. They're racing in the main event. You've got Inter Europol here. They're racing in the main event. You've got Nielsen racing here. They're in the main event. Graf racing here. They're in the main event. United Australia, cool. I mean, do you see the point?
Absolutely right.
It is pour encourager les autres.
And it's, you know, it is and always has been a team sport,
Yeah.
and more so than very many aspects of motorsport. With very many aspects of motorsport, the team's contribution finishes when the car hits the track. That's not the case here, because you do have to have strategy that's involved in this. You do have to have efficient and safe pit work that's involved here. And in particular, when you get into multi-class and multi-driver racing, it's about the mix. It's about the way that car is set up, not for one driver, but for two or for three, and in some races more. And that's what makes this all so fascinating.
And for all these teams that we've talked about, the Cools and the Uniteds and so on, finding driving talent and finding enthusiasts who want to go racing and have the wherewithal to do so, and then nurturing them and then leading them through into your own LMP2 team, and then potentially into your own World Championship or Le Mans 24-hour team. That works as a ladder within a team. If you start driving for a bunch of guys and you really get on with them, of course you want to develop your abilities and move up with them, because you know them and trust them, and that's all part of it as well. Not just with the organisers, not just with the car manufacturers and the OEMs that are producing the GT3 cars, but with the teams as well. And if you join a United, or you join a Cool Racing, you join a Nielsen, you know there's the potential to stay with the same group of people right to the very top tier. And that's just a fantastic opportunity for young drivers, for veteran drivers, and for those with the wherewithal to become drivers.
So not the way we'd have liked to have seen this first of two Road to Le Mans races finish. This will finish under the safety car. We heard from race director a little earlier. The Porsche safety car will pull into the pit lane. These cars will cross the finish line in this order. No overtaking is allowed. Plenty of storylines to follow up about the various incidents and accidents we saw there, and one or two other stumbles as well.
Yeah, good luck to Steph picking the bones out of this in the post-race interviews. There's going to be some very excited people, though.
There are indeed. I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that I'm going to be getting a number of text messages within the next 20 minutes. It's from a number of drivers here, and I'll be chasing up one or two to make sure everybody's basically okay. We'll bring you all of that, of course, before tomorrow's race. Should tell people, by the way, when that race is tomorrow. We will be live at, is that 11:15?
11:15. The race starts at 11:30, and we'll be live at 11:15. Local time, that is 09:15 GMT, 10:15 British summertime.
And what we can say is that we'll break one record. For starters, it will be the biggest crowd ever to watch a Michelin Le Mans Cup race.
For sure.
For that we can be thankful. So.
I don't know, depends how many people have already left to go to the drivers' parade, because normally, of course, the second race is on Saturday morning, but this year we've got the centenary parades and all the other hoo-ha.
They'll see the start before heading to the tram.
I tell you what, there are going to be so many people watching the racing anyway. But again, you know, for the drivers, the crowd is wonderful, and being on the podium with the crowd is wonderful, but driving a racing car on this track, and I have to say, you know, no wonder there are so many Ferrari Challenge cars here and Porsche Carrera Cup cars here, because, dear Lord, you know, I'd race 75 Morris Minors here just to race on this track.
I would say, by the way, pretty sure we saw Alex Martin standing by the back of the wall there, so he has got out of the car and is over into a place of safety.
Well, congratulations to Team Virage as Manuel Espirito Santo claims their first win at the Circuit de la Sarthe. Nielsen Racing's Matt Bell will take the team to second place. And Team Thor, are we going to have the Icelandic clap? Colin Noble takes that car across the line. In GT3, Team WRT, Max Hesse at the checkered flag, just ahead of Anders Fjordbach. He made that pass almost at the moment that the Porsche crashed in the Porsche curves that eventually brought out the safety car to seal the deal. So HCR with Caffeine 6 in second, and Kessel Racing's David Fumanelli. That little out-fumbling group with Racing Spirit Le Mans, Valentin Asiclo and Kai Kotzolina ahead of Scott Morvan and Jan Magnussen. It was that moment again where Fumanelli out-fumbled his rivals. That's got him onto the podium. There's the Team WRT crew.
Yep, so Tim Well with Max Hesse takes the win. And that, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is a very nice reward for the nonsense that was actually spouted by a few idiots on social media about a rainbow logo that was there in tribute to his daughter.
Yep.
People need to get a life, I'm afraid. But the 58 car will take the overall win here. And good win there for the Team Virage team, coming into a rich and of course that's Martin Rich with Manuel Espirito Santo. Martin will be absolutely overjoyed with that.
And you saw how happy the team were. You know, to win for the first time is really exciting. Team Virage have already had that in Michelin Le Mans Cup, but to win at Le Mans, goodness me. I mean, goodness me. Never mind how the drivers are going to feel. They get to get up on the podium.
Look, Martin Rich, a gentleman racer of some time. We've got a 5-second time penalty for car 12, by the way. That's not going to affect...
Not the top three.
No, indeed. But Martin Rich, multiple starter here at the Le Mans 24 Hours. This is where he's chosen to go with his available funding package this year, and when he gets to stand on the top of the podium, that will be, I think, the biggest moment of his racing life. I think he is actually a 24-hour race winner. I've got a funny feeling Martin, he either won or finished on the podium at the Brick Car, the Silverstone 24 Hours some years ago.
Tim Well and Max Hesse in the winning BMW for Team WRT. Whenever you get into a car run by a team like that, you've got to fancy your chances, haven't you?
You do. And that is what it's about. That's what it means.
That's fantastic.
You know, that is what it means. And, you know, for people watching this, it's a support race. That's what it is. But it's on this track in this year of all years, and that is very likely to be the biggest race win of that young man's life.
That's possibly actually sweat in his eyes, because bear in mind, they've been really racing hard in these cars and then behind the safety car for the last 10 minutes, so he's probably sweating like an absolute pig in there. Very, very warm indeed, hugely hot day, and even at 7:30 in the afternoon, in the evening, they will be very hot inside those cars. So congratulations to Team Virage, Nielsen Racing and Team Thor. That's your 1, 2, 3 in LMP3. Team WRT, HCR with Caffeine, snappily named, HCR with Caffeine 6, and Kessel Racing. That is your 1, 2, 3
HCR, by the way, we
GT3.
shouldn't forget, by the way, HCR is high-class racing. That means high-class racing got 2 cars on that podium, on the podium for each class, because they do also service the Team Thor car. So it's been a good day indeed for the Danish flag team based in Barcelona. Barcelona is quite a distant suburb of Copenhagen.
Yes. High class, friend of the family, long-time participants in the European Le Mans Series, and also not unoccasionally in the World Endurance Championship.
We have had a change, haven't we? Because of drive-through penalty for the 74 car for causing a collision, David Fumanelli has dropped down the order. It is Racing Spirit Le Mans on the podium.
Goodness.
Valentina Haza-Klo is going to go to the podium here, and we've got the order shuffling rapidly here as a lot of penalties coming through, keeping an eye on whether or not that's going to affect any of the major positions here. It isn't affecting the top 3 at the moment. Stop-and-go penalties coming for car 59, for car
These are all
55.
for not staying stationary in your pit lane long enough.
Correct.
55 is one of the GMB cars. So the GMB cars were nose to tail to tail to tail, and their 55 cars now drop down the order. So now 88 is the better car. That's Jan Magnussen. He was ahead of 55, but the 55 car was also ahead of their 95 car, 65 car. So
the 1, 2, 3 in GT3 will reiterate now that change. It is still the win for Tim Well and Max Hesse. in the 31 car, the Team WRC BMW. It is still second place for the HCR with Caffeine 6 number 86 Porsche, but it is a change for third place now, with the penalty for Davide Fuminelli, or at least for the 74 car, is the Racing Spirit Le Mans car. The winner in Barcelona, the number 10 car, Valentina Harzeclo, and I think it's Arnaud Robin in that car. There are two of those cars in this race.
Yeah, Max and Arnold.
And just double checking, and I'm absolutely right, it is Arnaud Robin that will be on the podium for this first race of two.
Really, really fantastic. Thank you so much.
So drivers heading towards the podium. There is Tim Whale in the winning GT3 car. So he will join teammate Max Hesse.
Delighted, and this means a huge amount to any racer, professional or non-professional. Don't like to use the word amateur. Non-professional, gentleman or lady driver for that moment, and this will be a big moment for them.
I think actually amateur is, in its original spirit, is entirely correct, because they are not paid professionals. So by definition, by sporting definition, as was once the case in the Olympic Games, they will be amateur drivers. So that is it. We're not going to get a chance to see our drivers on the podium, but congratulations to our winners in each class.